Hello, 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 everybody. That's right. Soul Care Sundays is going to take a couple of months, a little bit longer break because, camps don't always line up in the same month and a quarter as actual NaNoWriMo does, it seems. But anywho, we are going to go ahead and start introing my fellow lady guests here and, well, talking about all of the things that we enjoy most to take care of ourselves as writers. We got some questions prepared. If you indeed have questions of your own, start typing them in chat as you get to know each other along the way. First up, we have somebody who you all probably spend a little bit of time with this morning. If you're part of the Heart Breathings writing community, you know her, you adore her. Chad and Carlos too. Hi.
Hey, how's everybody doing? Well, that was like, 50 minutes since I saw most of you last. Thank you so much for having me, Jenna.
Tell us all about you. Tell us about all the good things going on right now.
Oh my gosh, so much going on right now. As a lot of you already know, I am in the midst of switching jobs, going from my production manager role for an IT company to the assistant manager at Build-A-Bear Workshop. Finished my rough draft of book 1 of my new series, Vengeful Soul, the Hellscape Saga. And those of you who also know Chad and Carlos and all of their loveliness, right? We love Chad and Carlos. And of course, we can't forget Barista Benji.
I was wondering, is he on vacation or what?
He's on vacation right now, but he will definitely make another appearance. Sure. Yeah, and I love this idea of witchy ways to fill the well because I have been practicing witchcraft just shy of 40 years. Started quite young when I was in a preteen, and it's just part of my life. It's part of who I am. I don't even really I don't consider it a religion. I don't even consider it because it's so much of a part of my life, right? So totally I am so excited to be here.
I'm glad to have you here. Well, and I think the reason why I ended up advertently asking somebody else to join the chat was a similar reason. Miss Jodee Jean Daniel.
Hi. Hello. How are you guys?
Tell us all about yourself, my dear.
Oh, like Melissa, I have a lot going on right now, Mel. I have got, I have quit my job with the Treasury Department. I'm going more into full-time writing mode. My best friend, who I've worked with for a long time on other projects, is trying to con me into giving her 10 hours a week and help her with some stuff. And we'll see. I'm letting her and Dan fight that out.
Is that going to be a wise conversation, or are you just?
I was just like, I'm out. You two fight it out. Because I think it would be fun what she's asking me to do. But he's just so dead set on me just writing and all that kind of stuff. So, and I love that. I mean, I know how blessed I am to have Dan and his support. I'm in the middle of final edits on my novel, The Ledger. I'll be getting that back over to Jenna on July 31st for final edits. And then I know, I'm so excited. I can't wait for it to come out. I think the characters are just going to be people that you guys fall in love with, and because I know I love them and they've lived in my head for so long. It feels so good to get them out and into the world. I am not what you would call, I consider myself, I guess, if I had to name myself in a witchy way, I guess I'm a kitchen witch. I just do, I follow, I really follow Christian mysticism. Is what I follow. Jesus is my buddy. But
he's really not a bad person to follow in that regard.
Not just that dude. Not any organized religions of it, but yeah, just him. He's cool. And I have all my herbs and my different ways of storing things. And yeah, I'm just excited that you guys included me. I can't wait to talk about it.
Yes.
Speaking of people who have books I can't wait to get my hands on, though.
Right.
We have somebody else backstage they don't know about yet.
Oh.
Okay.
Yay!
Hi. I didn't know they didn't know. Oh, thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Being here. Go ahead and brag on yourself, sweetie.
Well, I don't brag on myself very well, so we'll make it short and sweet. But I am in the midst of, I think, hopefully final edits of my book, and I'm hoping to have it out by October. So we'll see how that goes. And we got to get it to Jenna, right? So
Jenna's
I
gonna
guess-
be buried under our
I
3
need-
books.
Yeah, I need
Jenna's
to
a
like,
typical Virgo. She'll take it.
I need to schedule something with you so that you can put me on your schedule.
I kind of already put you on the books and you don't know about
Oh,
it yet, just so I
okay.
didn't bother schedule. I'm that Virgo. I'm that Virgo. So your connection with Witchy Ways to Refill the Well started when?
Well, actually, you know, I was a witch or a pagan in high school for the most part. I didn't really do too much with it outside of high school because my parents. But anyway, once I got out of that situation, I started to kind of pick up a little bit more, but not really toward the point that I was in high school. But I do like to collect crystals and stuff. So one of my favorites, I don't know if you can see this, is a black obsidian arrowhead necklace.
Ooh.
Yeah, so I bought that
Pretty.
for protection or whatever you want to call it. I still haven't cleansed it yet, though. Got to do that first.
Understood. I grew up Roman Catholic and married a Celtic pagan. I think I don't need to say more. I am not Celtic pagan, just spiritual. I invoke whomever I need to for whichever reason I need to. Also, Sako Tumi was supposed to have joined us today, but she had a double book situation. I am very grateful for Sako. When I started seeking out ways to learn tarot, she was the first person who said, hey, here's some sources that I learned from that seem like they would also work for you. So please also go ahead and show Sako some love while she's off rocking out. I see some amazing people in chat. Mama Maggie, KL, the blind mage Nicole is here.
Nay, nay.
Someone we
Renee.
adore. And Renee, you are awesome. Thank you for being here. If anyone of you are not part of the Heart Breathings Writing community, all of us are on screen host for, and boss lady is Renee. Well, how does Rhiannon call herself? External brain boss lady. There you go. Because Sarah's technically
Chaos coordinator.
Chaos
There
coordinator.
you go. Hello, Sarah, Lauren, Rita. Glad to hear you're home. Her trip, guys. Those pictures.
Oh my God, those pictures were amazing.
Canada, beautiful. Just beautiful.
What is
1.6. Hello. Smash the like button. Thank you.
Oh, Renee. Oh, I
Mel
love
is
you.
Renee's witchy hero. And Kay was quite patient. She's awesome. And we are glad to be part of. Thank you, dear heart. Thank you. So we do have a set of questions, agreed on the crystals and waving hardcore. We do have a set of questions to go along the day, though. If you want to ask us anything, mark it with a Q, and we will get to it at the end. Or hold it for another time, because we're going to try and keep this tight. Intros took long, but that's okay. Outros don't take nearly as long. First question, though. First question after the intros for you, my friends. Define self-care. What is it? What is it?
For me, self-care is anything that I don't have to engage my brain on. Because I spend so much time, you know, having to do and use my brain in that I find that if I can veg out in front of the TV, if I can do something as simple as, you know, deep condition my hair, like spend an extra 10 minutes in the shower. And self-care does not have to be all candles and bubble baths either.
No.
It can be something like, no, I can't take this phone call right now. right? Boundaries are self-care. And that's something that I have only very recently learned. And I think I'm doing a pretty good job of putting those out there. So just remember that self-care can be about being true to yourself.
Yeah.
And it's not all bubble baths and candles.
Yeah. That's the main thing that I finally figured out when I first, this was years ago, and people would talk about self-care, taking care of yourself first, so you could help others. I finally got the message that if I was not in a good mental space, then I couldn't take care of the people I loved because I was so stressed out all the time. And I felt that I had really learned that lesson, but then realized a few months ago I kind of dug myself in a hole again. I was not practicing what I preached. So it's something I feel like I have to constantly revisit as far as self-care goes. I have to remind myself, like Melissa said, it's not just doing a facial. It's not just, it can be something as simple as watching my favorite YouTubers, on my phone, or it can be something just taking that break when I know I need it and just walking away. So self-care has changed for me over the years. And I would say probably now that I'm in over my half century mark, I am finally getting to a point where I understand it better and I have a better grasp of what it is. And I just wanted to share that with everybody today.
Thank you for sharing that. It was very lovely. I would probably say I'm about the same as Tracy. It, like you guys said, it's not all bubble bath and candles and all that stuff. And it took me a long time to figure that out too. Like Tracy, I dug myself into a hole with one job and I got so burnt out, so burnt out that at the end, it was like, once it stopped, I was like, thank God. So yeah, it's just one of those things. Like I will go get my nails done, or I'll do my own nails, or stuff like that. And it doesn't always have to be things like that, because anything that brings you joy can be a self-care thing. So like I go driving, I love driving, and we go driving out into the countryside sometimes just because I'm a country girl and I'm stuck in the city. It kind of gives me that feeling of openness again. And to me, that's self-care. So, yeah.
And this is definitely part of the reason why I separate the two. Even you guys, if you frequent my live streams, know I have self-care versus soul care. To me, the stuff that's like, doing your nails, or in my case, this tail takes a lot of maintenance. That's self-care. To me, if I need something just deeper than the physical, like for me, headbanging randomly in a locked door with my headphones in and pretending I'm back at a certain concert, that helps.
Yeah.
Reiki. I recently went and started doing Reiki routinely. And it's kind of that I get out and into a space and get to release it at a deeper level in a place that isn't the place where I work in. And I think that's why so many people need bouts of therapy off and on through their life. I need a place and a person to go wah and out at and leave it behind when I leave that room. So that's what kind of, for me, it's like a continuum. How much do I need? And how deep below the surface is the water kind of doing the wibbly wobblies, then needs to calm down, I guess is the way to word it. And yes, external brain. She was external braining. She was external braining. Speaking of someone who is fun to follow, if you're not, Joanne, hello. So for the next question then, how is self-care present? It's going to change the numbers. I got to take those off. Sorry, I thought Word was being better. It was not. How is it present in your life, weekly, daily, monthly, so on, i.e. do you do like something on a pattern, or because I don't want to say like religions do, you do it every Sunday, but some spirituality people do have those things. So
Yeah.
or more. Which would it be for you ladies?
I think for me, because I don't see being witchy as something external. I mean, if I happen to have the spoons to do a new moon ritual, I will. If I don't, I won't, you know, because it's so very much part of my everyday. I do go to massage therapy once a month. As a matter of fact, I'm peeling out of here right after this to go to massage therapy. And to me, that's something that helps maintain my body, because as some of you know, I have tremors in my hands and it actually comes from my back. So going to massage therapy is a way to help me control those symptoms, and it's one of the main things I do to take care of myself. I used to go to Reiki on a regular basis when I lived in another province, but I haven't found somebody here to do it for me. So, but it's, again, it comes down to when I feel like I need it. Like, I don't pull tarot cards on a regular basis. It's when I feel I need it. You know, even if it's just something of, I need to know I'm on the right path. I'm on this path and I'm going.
Mm-hmm.
Is it still the path for me? And I'll pull a few cards. So for me, it's not a practice, not a habit. It's more of a practice. It's more of a just an everyday in my life kind of thing.
I'm like Melissa too. I call it physical therapy. I go twice a month, and I found this wonderful person. She really supports the spiritual side of it for me. And, you know, she'll have on my music, she'll have on, you know, the diffuser with what I bring in, and it's just really a time for me to unwind and relax and take care of my body. But I always leave feeling, and it's just because I've been blessed with her, I also leave feeling my soul very refreshed and very, the other thing I do is tea. I am a huge, and I take my tea, I take my herbs, and I mix them up and I make my little tea bags, and I will just go sit down and have, you know, a tea when I'm feeling really out of sorts. The one thing I would warn against, always make sure if you get into herbs that you have medically sourced and consumable herbs from an ethical place that you're buying from.
Especially if you're female and in childbearing years.
Yes. Yes. And just as a personal safety reminder, don't consume mugwort. It's great for incense, but yeah. But
I would limit it to topical, and that's like if you have poison ivy, poison oak type stuff.
Yes.
Only
then.
Goodness.
Only then. But yeah, that's my main
drinking.
I would say that's my main daily. My daily is probably tea. It's probably I make my own tea, and it's the grinding it, and then also the making it. All of it together calms me down and helps me feel better. Yeah.
Well, I was going to say, I've been reading this book called The Artist's Way. I don't know if you guys have heard of it. The Spiritual Path to Higher Creativity. And it has a lot of like meditations and stuff in it, confirming affirmations, you know, stuff like that. And I mean, for me, it's like, I would say probably weekly. I practice self-care, mostly because I was in the medical field for a long time, and that's where I burned out really bad, because I worked in hospice. And I found after that I was telling every young medical professional after that, please take care of yourself, because you're going to burn out so bad that it's just ridiculous.
Sorry
And
to interrupt. Is that Julia Cameron who wrote that?
yes,
Perfect. I'll share it.
I look at it. But yes, that's it. She also has another one out, I think, called Meditations for the Creative Soul. Let me see real quick, I guess. Hold on 1 second. Sorry, I have it all on my... No, I don't have it on there. Okay, so, but, you know, most of my thing is the meditations. Like, I have a friend who's a life coach, and she was very generous and recorded a few specific meditations for me. Half of this problem is I keep falling asleep because I get so relaxed. I'll fall asleep. But that is one way that I wake up in the morning, I take my meditation, I get my coffee, I sit down at the computer, and I plan out the day. And that is my ritual. I do every single day.
Yeah.
To help me ground myself.
I like that a lot. And that's the starter kit to what Kay had mentioned. And for those of you who are just joining us, I saw a couple new people hop on in there. We're just on this question here, wrapping up, going to the next one. For me, I do try to do something at each full moon and each new moon. Normally for full moons, I like to cook a big meal because that way I don't need to cook for a couple days in case I get not feeling good. I've always been that person whose mood has been tied to the moon. When it's full, I feel it. When it's new, I feel it. On new moons, it's a lot of extra quiet time. And that's just kind of been what it has been my whole life. And really embraced it here recently. We're also going to look at... Oops, did I miss one? I may have... Aha. Yes, I did miss one. And also, hello there to RC. And yes, Renee's top secret on what's going on exactly with this woman. It's like breadcrumb. Breadcrumb. 2 breadcrumbs. Oh my God, none for 3 weeks. Enjoying it, Renee. What is your most effective witchy self-care thing to do? Like if you know you are feeling, kind of like how Kay mentioned, burnout levels. What is kind of your number one thing to reach for first?
Now, for me, that's where the tea comes in. And you can see, whoops, in the shot here, no, this way. This is my cabinet. And so you can't really see, but the top row is all just herbs. And I have one row that's like nobody's allowed to touch because that's where my poisonous stuff lives. That's where my mandrake and my juniper berries and stuff like that lives, which I do not put in my tea.
No.
But it's kind of like this thing where I go and I open up the doors and I have chimes attached to the door. So I open it up and my chimes go off, and that's very grounding. And then I just open myself up to what does my body need right now? And I might take a little bit of this and a little bit of that, you know, and I just kind of let my body guide me to what it feels like it needs. And then I will brew a tea with that. And when I brew my tea, it's a very focused thing. Like every step is ritual. Every step is precise, and just being in that moment. And then drinking it is the same way. It's a pause before each sip. It's letting myself taste the individual flavors. It's pulling me into that every single second.
Intention.
Absolute intention. That's exactly what it is. Yeah.
I'm also the tea, but what I will do, I guess the most cost-effective thing I would say is when I'm sitting down, trying to calm myself down, I will journal. I will go into, this has been with me for a while, and I have a lot of different things already in it, and sometimes I'll revisit and go back to when I felt a certain way and remember what I did and how I've already overcome that. And journaling has really helped me in a way that I would hear people talk about it, and I'll be honest, I thought it was a bunch of hoodoo. I was like, yeah, that's crazy. I know what's in my brain. Why do I need to write it? But when you write it down, you're being extremely honest with yourself. There's something very therapeutic about it, and it's just my go-to. It's like if I'm feeling bad, I'm going to CBT. You know, it's a type of therapy. I'm going to CBT journal it out and figure out why I'm feeling this way and what's going on, and then go back to see if I've ever had this type of. A lot of it all feeds back into past trauma, and I just have to track it down and be like, okay, why is this happening? And then it always tracks back. So that's a good one for me is journaling.
And I have something to add on to yours here in a second that explains why it's therapeutic. Okay.
I guess for me, I love doing my nails because it makes me feel very, whatever you want to call it, just makes me feel put together, I guess. So when I do my own, I go to the site called Beyond Polish, and it has like every gel nail polish you can think of under the sun. And I just, a $20 bottle of nail polish, I know sounds like a lot, but if you do your own nails, that lasts a long time. So for me, that's probably the most
100
cost-effective
codes.
way. Yeah.
Yep. For me, it's the journaling and just writing, like free form. If it comes out as fiction, it comes out as fiction. If it comes out as a poem, it comes out as a poem. And for me, it's making the thoughts in my head tangible. So it's not, I call it my laugh track, ironically enough, but it's more like radio static overlapping of just too many thoughts from, they call it remunerating thoughts in mental health, but it's just like everything one blast all at once. And it's like, okay, I need to just get it out. So if it gets really quiet in my office and my door is open and my husband comes back in, he's like, are you okay? I'm like, yeah, I'm fine. The page is not fine, not feeling fine, put it that way. And he's like, okay, but it makes it tangible. It gets it out of your head. It puts it on paper, because once it's on paper, you can edit it, you can destroy it. Well, you can't really destroy energy. You can just transform it into something else. But you can do something with it to make it to where it hurts, but it's comfortable to live with for now, to move past it. And I had a therapist tell me that when I was like high school, when I first landed in therapy, and thank God for that advice, because it stuck with me since. Did I lose everybody? Okay. My screen just flipped.
Everybody froze for a minute.
We're good.
Okay,
we're good. We're good. 6. I don't know if this is witchy, but
noise.
Yes. If you don't know that there's different levels of noise or binaural and hertz type things, check it out. Did I skip anybody? We're good, right?
Mm-hmm.
Awesome.
I really like the pink noise for when my anxiety is high. Yeah,
That's a good point. What frequency is that? Do you know or no?
I don't.
Okay, because sometimes there is a guide out there where they'll match them.
Yeah.
There is a guide out there. So we went on the cost effective. Let's go on the other end of the spectrum. What is your guilty pleasure or splurge when it comes to witchy self-care tools? Is it crystals, retreats, books, higher end items, maybe of something because journals can get expensive. So that's why I'm saying higher end.
Yeah. For me, it tends to be the tarot deck that I really don't need, but because I've got 50 of them anyway. That and the journals. Like, I'm absolutely in love with Tracy's journal. Like, I like to go with a journal that has a leather cover and handmade paper. And they, being in Canada, everything's more expensive, so they can run me up to $50, for an A5 size. But that's kind of my guilty pleasure, and just allowing myself, say, $50 to go to the local pagan store and just spend it frivolously. I'm lucky enough that there's a really good witchy store here in the city. and I'll go grab my son and we'll go together and I'll just blow $50 on whatever takes my fancy.
Mine is books, and more books. I have some of my favorites all surrounding me at all times. I have my moon journal. I have different, it's definitely stationery driven. And it's not even just, some of it is education based, but also some of it is just like, this book is a really good book. I highly recommend it. Because it doesn't just give you the information, it has the science behind it and the why you should do it. The why. It's not just a recipe book. And this book I learned, you can tell it's pretty ratty. I've learned a lot through that. So I'm definitely, I get the book memes all the time. Like, I'm not going to buy any more books. And then it's like, except, these 10.
Yep.
So, but I try desperately to make sure that I'm a good steward and I'm actually reading them and studying them. I don't just let them sit there. But yeah, books is definitely where, when I splurge, I may spend $75 on a stack of books. I'm horrible about that.
I mean, the audience is not disagreeing with you on the spending.
I see my nay.
Okay, how about you?
I think mine would probably be journals, like pretty ones, like I like Archer and Olive. They're expensive.
Yeah,
beautiful.
Yeah, I know, isn't it? I love that one too.
First Archer and Olive journal. I'm so thrilled.
But yeah, I love notebooks, like pretty ones, and
yeah,
I have too many.
Me too.
For me, it's not just crystals, but gem shows.
I didn't know there were gem
shows.
There's one that's in between you and I in Mount Airy in the spring. You and I need to meet there and hang out.
Yes, we do.
There's a circuit. It's called the Gem Miners Jubilee. They have 2 shows up in Lancaster, PA, Lebanon, PA area. And yes, Cody, I know I said it like a Marylander, not a PA-er. I'm sorry. Anyway, he'll yell at me later. But they do one that's in Maryland that's much smaller in the spring months. And that's where I get like my chonky stuff. This in a shop would cost just $70, $80. I got this $25, $30 at a gem show. That's why I go to gem shows with like $100, $200. I take a whole quarter and anything I can save, pinch and save $1 here or there. That's when I go and get my expensive tools, like, bowls, singing bowls, the really nice, brand new, expensive tarot card set I want. That's $100 online, is $50 there, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So if you have a gem show or like a metaphysical expo where they have a lot of gem dealers, that's a cost-effective splurge outing, I guess. Any other add-ons before we go to the next one?
I don't think so.
Crystals.
Crystals, all the crystals. Candles.
Yeah.
Candles. By the way, how's yours smelling, Mel? I
Oh my
sent her
God.
one of these.
I haven't burned it because I don't need to. It's really heavily scented. You can even smell it through the lid. I mean, like, it's really nice. And I love it. Thank you so much, Jenna.
There's a company out of Frederick, Maryland called Silver Moon Offerings. I have a QR code for them, for their Etsy page, not a link. Dang it. But she does ship, and she does to specific deities.
Mm-hmm.
When my book 1 Kickstarter started, I got the one for whom my main character Neftiri is named, Neftace, and I am going today or tomorrow to go pick up Fenrir for book 2. So yeah, candles can get expensive, but if you can find a local shop that makes them.
Did you ever know 13 Magical Moons that was over here in Opaquan?
No, but
It's gone now, but I wasn't. Yeah.
Because Opaquan, we call it Opaquan. Well, no, you're in Virginia. You have the Virginia Opaquan, not the West Virginia Opaquan.
Mhm.
But yes, I didn't know they closed up.
Yeah, unfortunately. The reason I ask is because the font on your candle is the exact same font I have for my 3. Yeah, it's the exact same font on my 3 candles that I bought from that place. So I'm like,
I wonder if they use the
Great
same
minds,
program
great
to design.
Aw.
Like how some of us all use Canva. You know what I mean? That they could have designed it in Canva for all we know.
Yep.
So Melissa has mentioned in past live streams that she has like this ritualistic mindset, like ending your workday. You have certain steps you do. What type of things do you do when it comes to switching mindsets in general? Maybe not necessarily just work. You're not at your worst. Maybe it's getting up in the morning. Like, what are some of your favorites you haven't mentioned at this point?
Well, I can't really think of anything off the top of my head, but they are all physical actions. Like physically have to do something and physically move my body.
Yeah.
Because for me, that interrupts my thought flow. So if I don't like where my mind is going, I will stand up from my chair real quick. And it interrupts I call them interrupters. They interrupt your thought flow, they change your energy. One thing I learned years and years ago from Tony Robbins was about smiling when you don't feel like smiling.
Yeah. Because
you can't stay in a bad mood if you have a smile on your face. It is not like it changes your brain chemistry. So, and he was the one I also learned the interrupters from as well. So when it comes to a ritual, when I'm trying to switch, like I often said about putting away, I use the certain pens for work and the certain pens for my writing. So it's about putting away the work stuff and setting up the workspace for writing, but something that I find I have to do the exact same thing over and over and over again in order to be able to do it on autopilot. And then it just switches my brain over. So yeah, definitely rituals are a huge, big part of my life. Even if it's just something as simple as how I lay out my coffee mug in the morning, and I have a cat who is the exact same way.
You leave my printer prints alone.
Well, we joked about Ziggy being this like routine-driven cat. Never had one, but it's the same thing for him. Like, if Mom goes to bed early during my live sprints, y'all hear him. He loses his ever-loving mind because she's not supposed to go to bed that early. Even if it's 20 minutes. And it's just kind of like the way your day flows and the way your mind flows. But absolutely, rituals work for me.
The thing that I have done that I see has really helped is I separated my writing desk from my work desk. They're in 2 separate areas now, and I'm looking forward to reclaiming both areas as my writing. I think I've decided I'm going to keep that one, my admin, like when I'm doing Jodee Jean work. But my creative flow happens best in here. It's kind of you can't see it, but to me, it's very girly, very righty, it's just, this is my little creative space. So that has really helped. And I always make sure when I get up in the mornings, I come here first to this desk, remind myself of my vision and what's important. Have, that morning cup of coffee and just, set my intentions for the day. Then I will get up and go to the other desk and get work done for the job. But yeah, that's my main That's the main thing that I finally figured out that was helping. I had this thing when I would have a negative self-talk, I had a rubber band and I was like flicking myself with it. But a friend of mine, she was like, you know what? You've been punished enough. So stop doing that and just stand up when that happens. When you have a negative self-thought, just stand up. And so I started doing that instead. And she's right. I could tell a very big difference. And it's like Mel said, you know, when you stand up, it does interrupt that thought process. It stops you from going down that rabbit hole. And then I'm able to just carry on with my day. So those are the only things I can think of off the top of my head that I would say were ritual.
Perfect. Okay.
Let's just say I've not mastered that yet. I do reset my desk in the mornings. I do reset the desk in the mornings, but in the evening, it's pretty much like done. I'm out. Let's go play some games.
And that's your
like
ritual, hon.
Yeah.
That is.
Exactly.
My husband, the first thing he does when he comes in from delivering, after maybe a shower and some food or drink, it's either in front of the TV or in front of the computer for a couple hours to decompress. That counts. If that's what you need, so be it.
Yeah.
So be it.
Absolutely.
100%. For me,
Sorry about that.
oh, you're fine, sweetie. I thought it was me for a second. For me, this is probably, we've been joking about it a couple times here in chats because people notice I'm taking the virtual writing retreat 7 a.m. time slot. And they're like, no way I'm getting up that early. I'm like, yeah, guys, by time like Sarah's done, I'm used to my day being half over because of being a teacher. So for me, if I don't get, and part of it's because I had a chase the dawn kind of commute for 8 years where I left when it was dark and got to work as the sun was coming up. I got to get sunlight like early, like right as soon as it comes up and I'm awake. I don't care if it's, I got to look out a window for 5 minutes. I need sun. And this really hit me hard when we went on vacation for our vow renewal last year. And what we thought was a window was actually a peel and stick mirror. There weren't windows in the room for a week. And, we hardly spent any time in our suite because I needed the sunlight. So yeah, I need to get sun contact on my body badly ASAP in the mornings or my day is not good. You possibly feel the same way about your desk, Kay, I imagine. First thing in the morning, or Jodee Jean, if you don't visit that desk, or Melissa, if you don't switch out your work stuff, it probably has that feel, I imagine.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
So we are on perfect timing, actually. We have 2 more questions pre-planned. So bring your questions, everybody. How is witchy self-care present in your writing life or even in your business life?
I think for me, again, with the ritual to switch back and forth between, but like during my day, I keep at my desk, I keep some of my favorite crystals. This is my favorite. This is a piece of citrine, raw citrine, and my pyrite. And sometimes I'll just take literally 60 seconds to meditate and just touch them and feel them and concentrate on something other than the 3 clients that are coming at me with issues or the plot hole that I can't seem to fill or something like that. Again, it's about removing myself, having a ritual to remove myself from the current situation, but still be present in the moment, right? And it's a brain shift. I often joke that it is 9 years yesterday that I quit smoking. And I still hate that I can't have a cigarette. I still crave cigarettes because cigarettes were a ritual for me. especially when I was writing, because I would get stuck. I'd hit a wall. I'd go out. I would have a cigarette outside. And by the time I was done, I wasn't stuck anymore. Not a good ritual, not something I would absolutely not suggest to anyone. But having to find something to replace that with, and even still to this day, 9 years later, where there's times when I'm like, damn, I wish I had a cigarette right now. You know, I could fill this plot hole if I could just light up a cigarette. And
thank you for burying that at the end of the episode, by the way.
Sorry. But, you know, that's the only thing I can think of to say about it. Because, I mean, it is that strong of an emotion. And it's like, but still, like, having those little rituals to get yourself out of an undesired mindset is super, super important, whether you're writing full-time or you're working or the kids are driving you up the wall. Or the pets, in some people's cases, are driving you up the wall.
Thank you.
And even when they're grown, they'll drive you up the wall.
I was going to say, I have students that I taught 10 years ago still doing that. I know you're watching, and I love you guys. Anyway, Renee had mentioned that she was being called to citron a lot more than other crystals, and I don't know, but if anyone in chat is feeling called to it, it might be this. It's an abundance crystal.
Yeah,
abundance.
It's good for business owners. Yeah.
I call it the sunshine crystal.
Yeah.
Because for me, it's very representative of sunshine, and it's a really, for me, energy inducing crystal. Yeah.
I love it.
For me, I think that the way that it best kind of presents itself in my writing life is that I just do take those moments that it's kind of like you go back into a certain way of setting yourself up for success when you know you're going to be writing, and it's like, I'll come in, I'll make sure my candles are lit, I'll make sure I have you know, my crystals chosen and out, and I just kind of set everything up to a point where I'm like, okay, now I can write. Now I can write. I have everything at my fingertips that I need. And I think that my business life, I don't really have any that I can think of that I do. Like when I sit down to do Jodee Jean work, I think it's mainly because I have my security blanket, Dan, my husband, who helps me with that. So I don't feel as scattered when it comes to the business side of things anymore, because I know he's taking care of it. But yeah, I would say as far as my writing goes, it again kind of goes into that, I guess, ritualistic, where I'm like, okay, these are the things I do. I'm setting myself, and I've noticed if I don't do that, if I just sit down and say, I'm going to reclaim that 15 minutes and put it into my writing, it's not a productive 15 minutes. So it's not worth it. So I always make sure that I have everything out, that I've calmed my mind, then that I reread, you know, what's going on. And then that's always helps for me.
Perfect. Okay, go ahead.
Well, for mindsets, one thing that Mel turned me on to was Mel Robbins and the 5-second rule. So I started using that after I listened to a bunch of podcasts and everything else. And I find it really helps. It's very much like you guys do, where you just stand up, just interrupt that thought process and just go. And for me, I think it's been a bit of a game changer, because the past couple of years, I kind of let things go to the side, you know, because we had a lot of stress going on and stuff like that. So it was like I couldn't focus on what was really important. I mean, I did, but I just couldn't focus, you know what I mean? So once I started doing that, though, that helped a lot. Yeah.
100%. Understood. And I think Sako just tried to join us. So if Sako, you're listening, you can hop in and say hi. We are on our last question here in a moment, though, and be wrapping up. But I would still like her to hop in and say hello if she would like. Real quick, add in. I tend to do yoga for the rituals at the end of my workday before I go into writing, just to 1, get up and stretch out my body.
Yeah.
2, before every time I go live, I always do a moment of reflection. Kind of like, I don't think I started it hearing Sarah says she does similar whenever someone signs up for her courses.
Yeah.
Thank you, allow me to help this person. I've been doing that like even at the beginning of my teaching day before I would open my classroom door to my students at the beginning of my first class period or homeroom. I would say similar in my head and then go about my day. So for me, it's kind of that this is my last breath for me before I go and give of myself to others. Like, let me top off this well one last time.
Yeah.
Speaking of topping off the well, potentially one last time there. Yes, thank you for confirming, not comparing. And if you want to come say hi, please do. Yes, Sarah does that for each student when they sign up. I kind of do similar, you know. I don't know if they taught us that. That might be an educator thing they teach us. Last question. Can food be a form of witchy self-care and why? And I know Melissa may need to dip
I may
out.
need to dip.
So if you want to take it and go, yeah, I understand.
Absolutely food can be. And whether it's preparing a meal or indulging in something you know is not good for you, because you all know how much I love my chocolate, right? Chocolate is a form of self-care for me. It totally, totally is. And I can be satisfied with one little piece of chocolate because of how I treat it. I'm not just shoving it into my mouth and not thinking about it. Again, all comes back to intention. And this is my little bit of love for myself, and boy does it taste good. You know? Mm-hmm. And I think that for me, personally, that's what junk food is supposed to be about. It's a little form of love for yourself, and you do it with intention. And if you do it with intention, then you don't overdo it, right? So that's just my personal opinion. And yes, my loves, I have to dip. Thank you so much for having me, Jenna. Thank you so much. And Jodee, my darling, and Kay, my love, thank you so much. I will see you all on Friday morning.
You take care.
All right. Love you all. Thank you.
Have a good afternoon.
Yes.
You as well. Bye-bye.
I think for me, because I do gravitate toward kitchen witchery, it's like anytime I'm cooking, anytime I'm doing anything, I make sure that I try and infuse everything I make, especially if I'm cooking for someone, with love. I want them to, not only do I want it to taste good, I want them to feel good when they're eating it. I want all the good emotions. And so I am not one of those people that get in my kitchen and I'm like, I'm very methodical and very, okay, duh. And I am and have been known to chase people out of my kitchen because I am, duh. But it's very, I think that food is one of the best ways you can show people that you love them, because you're cooking it for them, for their nutrient, for their, whatever. And it's like the boys talk about my my red velvet pound cake. Like it's, they can have had something horrific happen, and if I make that pound cake with the cream cheese icing and the pecans, they're just like, okay, I'm gonna make it. So yeah, I think it does. I think that the self-care really can come from food when you're very intentional. Again, I know I've said that word a lot, but I think it all boils down to intention.
I think that's a good point. Kay, how about you, honey?
I have not learned intention. At least not yet. So food for me was always something very big. Comfort food, especially because of past traumas and eating because you're stressed or eating because you're upset or whatever. So for me, I guess I can see your viewpoint, but for me, it's like I have to like put a hard stop on that type of stuff. I got a diagnosis last year that made me have a come to Jesus moment. And ever since then, I have like been trying my best to eat to live, not live to eat.
Right.
So, yeah. I mean, I don't think it is a form of witchy care, but that's me specifically because I have issues with food.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I'm kind of in between both of you. I have the insulin resistance, the PCOS, and the only way we figured out I could get my weight down was by doing something that is not healthy if you don't monitor it, especially if you're trying to conceive, and that's keto and intermittent fasting. Basically just flush my system of all of the insulin as much as I can. But what it taught me was the importance of good quality ingredients in my food.
Exactly.
That's what it taught me. Like, mind you, I did this post my college and beginning of my teaching years. So we're post the early 20 fat gain anyway. Let's get real. And a lot of people in my generation have. So it kind of reset me because I grew up in a household where my mom cooked for a living. So food was everywhere. I'm the youngest of 5 kids. The woman cooked 24 hours a day at work and home to keep everyone fed, and I know that. So for me, it was also deprogramming my mind away from how she cooked, because she cooked with my father's heart issues in mind, not her daughter that she should have been treating as if she was pre-diabetic. So definitely. And this is part of the issue. I think I could be wrong. The person that could confirm or deny just left. Dang it, Mel, if you come back, confirm or deny if you can hear us. In chat or on the replay with comments. But comfort food in America, I think, has gotten a little, not out of control, but the availability therein.
Yeah. And when I'm saying I'm saying when I'm cooking a meal for my family, not when I'm just baking the cake. I use, like, we cook very Mediterranean. Yeah. But even when you're cooking on the Mediterranean diet, even when I'm in the kitchen cooking, I'm very intentional while I'm cooking that I'm infusing it with my best self and love and making sure that I'm in a good space because I want to serve that to people.
Right. And for me, culturally, I think of how people who run ramen houses in Japan talk about this dish requires this mindset, therefore they make it. And when someone said you should be treating even your coffee in the morning like that, Jenna, to me recently, thank you, JC, my new friend who owns a metaphysical shop around the corner, I'm like, gong, she finally made sense just a little bit more. Yeah. Kind of like, she said, do you ever think that it's causing a blockage? Like, how do you get around a blockage? If you can't go through it, go around it, is kind of where she was at. So I'm feeling both of you on this. I'm feeling both of you big time. I do not see any other questions, and I did not see Sako jump back in, my friend. If you wanted to say hello, please feel free to do so. Did you ladies want to add anything before we start winding down, wrapping up?
I think that was everything. I did all my show and tell.
And if you're back. God, I'm like, I have everything here, and the only thing I didn't show was the one thing that comes out tomorrow that you're all probably going to see plenty of anyway. So
That's exciting, though.
It's very exciting.
10 hours.
Rita did have a question. She's
Oh,
asking,
Rita.
what is your favorite crystal?
Labradorite for me.
Turquoise.
That makes sense.
I don't know what
Okay.
it's called.
Do you have it?
Yes, it's right here.
Malachite is my
Malachite.
guess, because that's what I have.
I think that sounds right.
Mine has a face.
Yeah.
Mhm. That's cool.
I like
That's
that.
why I bought it. It stares right at me. It literally stares right at me as I'm writing. For me, it's Labrador, right?
I think I like turquoise because it was my grandmother's favorite. She always
Mhm.
had, and she gave me a little ring, a little hoot owl. That's he's a little ring and a little hoot owl, and his tummy is turquoise.
This was, I call her the other self-published author in the family, Cody's grandmom, when she downsized to her current living arrangement at the nursing home. This came to me. But for me, Labradorite, they say, is the stone for sci-fi fantasy writers. So if you write sci-fi fantasy, here it works good for steampunk, okay? Just saying. Give it a consideration. I love that question. I think all of us would probably have a really good video worth like showing crystally stuff off, probably.
Oh yeah.
There's a lot of good places on Etsy worth checking out. I know Lunam Love does crystal candles. Sarah recommends them. I love their candles. But there's other places online that you can shop too. A lot of them are on Etsy. And I know like Silver Moon Offerings, who I mentioned earlier for the candles, she does deliver. So you would be shocked that even some little local mom and pop shops are delivering still.
Yeah.
It will change over time. See, I thought sodalite was a stone for you, Rita. I thought so. That I don't have any on me. It's in the living room. Depends on your mood. That's a good point too. So I think we are going to go ahead and wrap up, ladies. Anything you would like to add? Anything you would like to brag on yourselves about before we depart?
No. And just when the ledger comes out, if y'all could just please support me, I would appreciate it greatly.
Sure. And same with Unbound Pages.
And same
for
with
Kay.
Oh,
For
thank you.
KK.
Kay has sprints tomorrow morning. They're not going to say it themselves, so I'm going to say it for them because they deserve to be shouted out. If you'd like to do writing sprints, Kay will be hosting on behalf of the Harp Readings writing community tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. Eastern, and Jodee Jean will end the day tomorrow at 8 p.m., right?
Yes.
8 p.m. Eastern.
Eastern.
If you want to hang out with Melissa, she usually does sprints on Wednesday nights and Sunday mornings, but she gave us a heads up. Her schedule may or may not be changing. And for all of us next weekend, it is virtual writing retreat weekend. We will be hosting 3 days full of sprints. Please, please, please do go ahead and check out the community. I will put the link in the box. I know most of us here are probably fans of, but please go ahead and check out. And tomorrow's a very big day on this channel. You're going to want to come back for a certain video that's up over on my channel now, announcing the drop of something. And technically, as of midnight tonight,
Sorry, I'm making my squealing noise, and I'm trying not to because I'm so excited.
books 1 and 2 of the Myrna Annals will be dropping in T-minus less than 10 hours. So we shall see you all later. Thank you for being here. And as always, take care of yourselves. We know you're worth it.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
Thank you for hanging out. Bye.